Hi guys, thanks for having me here. And I must say, it's an extremely tall order to be speaking right after Uber. When I was standing at the back looking at his presentation slides, I was like, God, there's so many animations everywhere. It's embarrassing. Mine just has slides and words and I guess cute ninjas. But I guess to make things, spice things up a little more, make things a bit interesting, I think we're going a bit more on the genesis of the company, what we really firmly believe in, what we have achieved, I guess, and what's next. I guess it's a digital conference of sorts, so it'd be interesting to see how logistics could actually pan out and build the entire digital ecosystem. Can I have this? This one, is it? So a bit on the genesis of the company. So there were 3 co-founders which started this. We were previously working in corporate jobs outside. We had a small e-commerce startup, and truth be told, the company came about in a very serendipitous manner. We didn't think that, we didn't start the company with the pretext that e-commerce is going to be where it is today, with the pretext that logistics could potentially be one of the key cornerstones in allowing the e-commerce industry to grow for the next 5, 10 years. What we did have were friends who told us that believe in your dream, that you wanted to have a single van and deliver parcels, which were not delivered very well by the current incumbents, that we'll figure things out along the way. So these words of encouragement led us to just start Ninja Van, honestly without much vision apart from just being a van driver. And I guess that's what we really started out with. We were van drivers from the start. I drove vans every day. My manual driving skills improved tremendously. And what we leveraged upon was the fact that we had e-commerce experience. We knew the pain points of our customers. Our customers are e-commerce merchants, brick and mortar retail companies who need to actually enter e-commerce or deliver parcels to their consumers, MLM companies who take in sales and need to get things done to the doorstep. So with that kind of fundamental understanding on the problem in the market and having a good grasp of technology, and a lot of us were algorithm guys before this, traders, tech guys, so perhaps a bit more geeky in our histories before this. And when we realized that there was this gap, we said, okay, we're going to fix it. We may not know exactly what the solution is from the get-go, but we're sure we'll figure it out along the way. And for about 1.5 years, my mom wanted to kill me because I didn't go home anymore. I just slept in the office. We had a small room in the office. We piled in as many beds as the room could fit. And that was basically our home for the next 1.5 years. Because unfortunately, in express parcels, maybe close to Uber, the fact that you have increased demand in the middle of the night. For us, it's all the parcels from all our pickup merchants all come back to the warehouse at night. And that's where you have to sort thousands and thousands of parcels for delivery the next day. And if anything happens and parcels don't go out the next day, we lose our business, we lose our drivers, we lose the confidence our customers have in us. So these are all very important features and characteristics which we all had when we started. And I'm sorry, I didn't put the last point in, but hopefully we were quite smart and entrepreneurial-minded. So I think all these came together and allowed us to start Ninja Van the way it is today. And along the way, we refined the vision, and we thought to ourselves, what is it that we really want to achieve in what we're doing? Are we just van drivers? Do we just want to go out there and deliver parcels? What is it exactly that we wanted to do? So as time went by, as we understood more of the industry, we looked out of just the express parcel market and understood that logistics actually comprises a much wider scope of services. And we had to choose very carefully where our vision was and how do we work towards that vision. And the vision really is up here today that we want to be the #1 transport logistics provider in Southeast Asia. So the few key terms here, perhaps the bold for Southeast Asia as well. Do we expect ourselves to be present in all countries which, for example, Uber is in? We don't think that's realistic or possible. That would really put us up against FedEx. But the big white space we see in this market is, can we do what FedEx has done for the US, DHL for Europe, SF Express for China, and do it for Southeast Asia? Currently, there are no players out there who look at transport logistics and are present strongly in the entire Southeast Asian region. And we believe that we want to be the #1 provider in this region. But we don't just want to be the #1 provider in this region by having good management skills and hiring thousands of drivers. We want to ride on what we are seeing today, which is a big move towards digitalization. Many of our drivers today own their own mobile phones, and I guess that's one of the pretexts which Uber rides on as well. the ability to put a computing device, which was by any measure an impossible amount of computing power even 10 years ago, cheaply and ubiquitously in the hands of every driver out there, gives us the capability to actually monitor what they're doing, to control what they're doing, and to ensure that we have the ability to optimize a logistics infrastructure end to end. So technology is one of our key underpinnings. And of course, this is interesting where we look at ourselves and we ask, how best do we become the number one player in the region? Do we just do so on a global approach insofar as saying, this is our playbook, this is how we execute in every country? We don't believe so. What we believe will be a core underpinning of the company would be that we are technology focused. And what do I mean by technology focused? We believe that in everything we do, we ask ourselves if technology will make it possible, if technology will make it easier, if technology will make it more profitable. We never ask ourselves if technology will make it sexier, because we don't believe in that. Technology may be sexy, but if it costs more, if it encumbers operational procedures, don't do it. And surprisingly, even that kind of mentality seeps back into the company. We may say we are technology focused, but when you step in our warehouses, you don't see big conveyor belts. You don't see huge robots running around. There's a simple answer to that. Where labor costs are today in this part of the world, all these do not make sense. For you to scale into the furthest reaches of Indonesia, you go deep into Papua, are you going to build a conveyor system? Is the entire business going to be predicated on conveyor systems? Or do you look at how you can enable a warehouse sorter with a simple mobile phone to scan, call the cloud service, run our addressing algorithms, understand where the parcel is going using NLP parsing, then tell this warehouse guy, which is at the basis of education, please put it into box number 3. I mean, yes, you could use conveyors to do all that, but the conveyor system costs a lot. How are you going to scale and open 1,000 stations around the region to enable sortation on the micro level? It's going to be extremely difficult. And it's with this kind of understandings that we have built up a business which scales, but yet utilizes technology as backbone, but not just technology on the forefront just to make things look good. And when we go back to entering all countries in Southeast Asia, there are 6 countries, we are currently in 4. The question then is, when you go into a country, how do you best adopt a culture which works? Unfortunately, and many times we lament this fact that we are not a company which is built on 17 engineers which could be worth $20 billion. We are a company which is built on thousands of people and the ability to manage thousands of people, drivers, and to understand every single country, different cultures they have, and ensure that operational models, management culture, all suits each individual country. And I guess that's the main reason why valuations in Southeast Asia are not as great as in the US. You're finding a single model doesn't mean that you conquer the entire region. You conquer a single country. And even in a single country, there are disparate cultures. How best do you understand the difference in cultures to build your operational models, to build your company culture? So we always believe, and in every country we enter, we tell them, take a local-first approach. Regional is here to help. We are here to share what has worked and what has not worked. We are here to help you analyze, to help you dissect what are the different buckets of, say, drivers that are out there, how to allow you to dissect them, but you decide how best to incentivize the local community and adapt what we have to make sure it works for the market. And this approach has been working very well for us. We have entered into 4 countries, which I'll share more later. So, underpinning the business is technology. Entry into markets is very much on a local-first approach. And we believe that to win the express parcel market as a precursor to the bigger logistics market, something very important is to build ecosystems and moats around the business. The fact that we managed to enter the business by buying a single van and coming in also means that anyone could buy a single van and come in. So how do we then build defensive moats around the business? So we have Ninja Collect. So, I'm sorry, it's not very visible, but so Ninja Collect, what it really is are we able to build up a post office system where people can send parcels through locations and pick up parcels from locations instead of their doorstep? It is a very sexy idea that a guy goes to your doorstep to pick up, a person goes to your doorstep to deliver your parcel. But as FedEx CEO once mentioned, the Uberization of anything doesn't mean that the fundamental cost structures are altered. The fundamental cost structure of going to an individual's house to pick up a parcel, whether it's an Uberized asset-light model or a full controlled operation model, incurs similar costs. For us to get to the market, for consumers to want us to use our services today, we have to be price competitive. And to be price competitive, we need to start aggregating volumes. How do we do that? We look back at what has been done for the last 100 years, and that's the post office. The reason why postal services can be priced at where they are today is because 500 people living a kilometer from the post office is able to walk to the post office and drop the parcel there and save 40% of logistics costs. And that's important because we don't want to just go for the high price ASP delivery services. We want to create a transport infrastructure which accedes to everyone's requests. If you are time-strapped, we will send a driver to your doorstep. If you are margin-focused, go to our post offices. And by doing so, what we've done is we have teamed up with a lot of brick-and-mortar stores like Guardian in Singapore, like Home Fix, convenience stores, and we put a simple Android overlay on top of these stores, and we enable them to function as a post office. So this is our first step in how we try to digitalize and adapt a century-old model with today's new technologies. And the reserve fleet component is another interesting aspect we all have. Looking at e-commerce today, what we see is express parcel volumes spike up and down, extremely cyclical. So how do we resolve that? Do we build a big fleet which has a capacity of 1.5x of average daily demand? We don't think that works very well because eventually cost we incur gets passed on to consumers. In a more efficient society, what you would like is an Uber model where you have flexible capacity to call on. And I think that's where we looked at Uber and what they've been doing, try to understand what works and what doesn't work in transport logistics. And we built up a reserve fleet which is very similar to what Uber does. These are drivers who are doing other things. We have extra drivers who are fixing satellite dishes. And on demand, on call, we actually call them to our warehouse. But a few important points to note, instead of just blindly following an Uber approach, not that it's bad, it's probably the best for the industry. But as I always tell people, there's a huge difference between parcels and people. When you pick up a person, he gets into the car. He sits with you, he scolds you if you're going the wrong direction, and he gets off. When you're delivering parcels, the parcel doesn't help itself in the car, and neither does it help itself out of the car. You actually have to pick up, you have to take care of the parcel, not get tempted that because it's an iPhone, you're going to take it and run away, because sure as hell, the iPhone can't fight against you, but a human could resist being kidnapped. So there are many nuances which differs, which makes the traditional Uber model potentially not the most suitable for this kind of asset-light model. We believe that in logistics, when you're handling a parcel which cannot fight for itself, a lot more checks and balances and controls have to be put in place, which is why we run on hybrid models for asset. We own a large part, we also Uberize a large part, and that's where we look to Uber for a lot of guidance in how we still maintain control. So for innovation and tech-led processes, one thing we believe in is, are we able to take the system that we have built for the express parcel market? It's a very big, complex system. Take it and give it to other logistics players, not our direct competitors in the express market, but can we take what we have built and give it to a line hauler, give it to a FMCG distributor, give it to a pharmaceutical distributor in the country? These guys all run thousands of drops a day. These companies all need optimization on the last mile. But the model is not a point-to-point model, which is the way we do not work as well. We work on more of a hub-and-spoke model, the way FedEx works. But these guys will never invest $1 million in technology. They are used to doing this for the last 20, 30 years. They want a very frictionless approach towards optimizing their fleet. And when you tell these guys, look, let's put the entire SAP TMS system on you, they go, no, this is going to reduce all my margins. I have nothing left to feed my family. So what we do is we take our systems, we dump it down to make it really easy for them to use. We let drivers just carry a mobile phone which tells them where to go. On the warehouse side, we start analyzing the routes. We start looking at where your drop points are, whether your driver is moving, how do we optimize your routes, how do we split processes from the warehouse onwards. And we allow these FMCG distributors to be a lot more efficient in their entire transport networks. But the interesting thing there is, why are we doing this? Do we think that this would be a revenue source for us as a SaaS provider? Or do we think this is part of an ecosystem we are building where we understand where vehicles are moving day in, day out, we understand where the capacities lie, and then one day start bring them all together to be a concerted and synergized transport network? We believe in the latter, and we hope to achieve that Right now, all of them run as standalone projects where we're gathering a lot of data. We don't have enough time to run the sexy animations Uber does. That's what you do when you raise 100 times more money. So I'm just imagining in my head the data we have seen. It's amazing how much optimization we can get out. The very idea of Uber Pool then is analogized here, where we see that a driver is actually making 3 drops and 3 pickups. Could we combine them into one? And we have all the algorithms in our system doing things similar to Uber Pool as well. And we see a lot of optimization squeezed out from logistics there. So just a quick snapshot of where we are. We are currently in 4 countries in ASEAN: Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Vietnam. Each of them having very unique characteristics. I mean, what I know is how the warehouse bedrooms look like in all of them. Singapore's warehouse is quite small, so our bedroom is very tight. Malaysia warehouse is very big. We have a big shed where we sleep in the back of the warehouse, as my Malaysia head here will attest to. Indonesia, surprisingly, we are in one of our stations which we first opened was in Jakarta. And Jakarta is quite space constrained. So we got a shop house, a decently big shop house lot. So we converted the 3rd room with no toilet into our bedroom. So we use bunk beds there, which is the only bunk bed room we have in 4 of these warehouses. And in Vietnam, we took a warehouse further outside. It's quite spacious. So we have quite a big room in our warehouse to sleep in. And it's quite interesting how all the guys in Ninja, when we travel, many times we just sleep in the warehouse because it's quite, I guess it's still fun and rather convenient. And it's the kind of culture we still want to build in us, that regardless of how much we have raised, we still want to stay hungry. We find it fun and very challenging to solve very real-world problems. But look at all the different industries we were prior to this and see how we can take a lot of all these learnings out and try to improve something which has been done for the last 2 centuries, which is express parcel logistics. Thailand and Philippines are opening soon. So our aim really is, as an ASEAN community, what we want to achieve is the ability for us to go to any consumer, any business in this part of the world and tell them that when you want to deliver anything to any part of ASEAN, we will handle your requests from end to end. We will make sure that the same SOPs, same processes, the same values we live by are institutionalized in every single one of these countries, and your parcel is always safe with us. And we give you the best rate because we focus a lot on how to keep costs low so that we can transfer this cost to consumers. So an example of companies we work with, they are the big marketplaces, regional marketplaces, local winners in marketplaces. There are mono-brand players whom we work closely with to look at how we can improve, say, brand equity by having different campaigns with them. We work with brick and mortars, Toys R Us, Guardian, Watsons, Home Fix. These guys are slowly moving into e-commerce. So we guide them along the way, we tell them what people are looking out for, and we learn a lot from them at the same time. And of course, there are mono brands who do not open retail stores, but they are distributors, so we also help them on that business front. So I think the question really is, I think the path ahead of us for the next 2 to 3 years is quite clear. Leveraging on all we have to build up our presence in all these 6 countries, and we don't expect to just be in the metro cities. We think that our strength lies in the fact that we are able to cover even the most remote of areas. So many times in Indonesia, we like to say, let's go to Bali, let's open Bali, and we can have a villa there, we can help deliver some parcels there. But joke aside, it's important for us to enter into every area in Indonesia, in Malaysia, all over the region. So we do not say we just do metro city, we handle deliveries to anywhere in ASEAN. And what we think helps us shape our vision after this, to further expound upon it, when we have fleets situated everywhere across ASEAN, when we have a person on call at any point in time who's well-trained to handle logistics, what can we do next? That's when we look at digital partners into the digital world. We are able to collect the data, we are able to optimize it, and we're able to synergize it within other transport logistics. But what's next is when we are looking at this, we view ourselves then as a bridge between the physical world and the digital world. Fintech providers, marketing providers. We have shops with digital layers above them, which are a lot more malleable. Can we leverage off this infrastructure to bring digital wallets to everyone? We won't create a digital wallet, we work with partners. Can we leverage off this infrastructure to bring digital payments to bring mobile ATMs? Can we help telcos enable a strategy which is to bring the mobile shop to your doorstep because of a powerful mobile device and a well-trained driver? We think all these are possibilities which could be quite endless in the future, but keeping that squarely in mind, we want to be very certain that none of this will happen if we do not have a ninja everywhere at any time. So I hope this gave a bit of pretext into how we started, where we are, and I think where we're going in the next 3 to 5 years. And thanks a lot for your time.